Hey friends, this is Jill from Tutor Success Academy, and I want to talk with you about setting up a summer of intention. And so right now we are at this place where some of you have been out of school or out of your academic semester for tutoring for maybe a week, maybe two, and some of you are still in that home stretch. You still maybe have one more week before your summer actually begins. Now, our summers can look all kinds of different ways, right? Many of us, especially us with private practices, right, tutoring businesses, we tend to work during the summer, although we might have a different schedule. And if you're a teacher, you might be teaching summer school as well. So we know that your summer can look very different, right? But we want to talk about setting up a summer where you are intentional about how you spend your summer. And so this week we are exploring 4 areas that you might want to consider and think about when you look at the summer ahead. Those 4 areas are rest, productivity, planning, and dreaming. Yes, dreaming is an actual thing I want you to do this summer. And so the first thing that we have to pay attention to is rest. Now, educators, by the end of the school year, whether you are in private practice or you are in the school system, you're likely tired, right? It's been a busy year. It always is a busy year, but let's face it, this last year and a half have been a doozy, right? And so the very first thing you might be thinking of that you need to do and want to do is prioritize rest. Now, that could mean that when you are looking at your summer schedule, you are building in some time for vacations, or maybe even building in like one day a week where you have nothing scheduled. So, even if you are a private tutor and you have a full summer schedule, try really hard to give yourself a day somewhere in your week where you can have nothing on the schedule. That right there could be really wonderful. But no matter what, you have to find a way to rest, to replenish, to restore your energy so that when we talk about some of these other things in your summer of intention, you actually stand a chance at doing them. Because when we're exhausted, it's very hard to focus on anything else. So, if rest is one of your priorities this summer, and let that be one of your priorities. But at least make it something important to you at the beginning of the summer, okay? Give yourself some time to rest, and you may find that you're ready to do some of these other things. So that's your first priority this summer, is to find ways to rest and actually prioritize it. Number 2, I want you to think about productivity. Now, you might be thinking after hearing that word rest that you don't even want to talk about productivity. But if you've gotten some rest, you might already be thinking how you could use this summer to be getting ready for the new school year. Now, don't rush into it, but just know that over the summer, do you have a few things that you would like to get done? Whether it's in your personal life or on your home, maybe you have some things you're working on in your home or in your garden or something like that, right? Or maybe there are some things you could be doing this summer to get ready for the school year. Like once you've gotten your time to rest, maybe it's time to start working on your handbooks, your policy guides, new student forms, things that will make your life exponentially easier when fall kicks in. Okay. So think about this summer. Do you have one or two things that would really be wonderful if you could get those done and accomplished? Now, I know some of you are doing bigger things, right? And especially if you are in the TSA cohort, you have some big goals this summer, right? So once you get through that rest, there are some things you definitely want to get accomplished this summer. And having this bit of a different time over the summer where your schedule is going to be a little bit different can be a great time to really think about how you can be proactive for the school year coming up, excuse me, and also be productive. Now, we've got 2 more. So we've had our rest. We're thinking about how we want to be productive. So not every day feeling like you have to be productive, but prioritizing those few things that you would like to get done this summer. 3 is planning. So maybe you won't do it right now, but I will tell you, a lot of educators that I know and tutors with tutoring businesses already are planning for the fall. They've already been planning for the fall. So use some of your summer for planning ahead. What do you want the fall to look like? Which students are you going to be seeing? Do you have any openings that you're anticipating coming up? Because if so, you can start planting the seeds over the summer for how to get some new students, or maybe even offer a new program in the fall. But you don't want to get to August and realize that you actually need 5 more students and you didn't really think about that, right? So think about planning for next year. Are there changes in your schedule that you might want to make? Maybe are there some things that didn't work out so well for you this year that you're going to try and change or implement next year? Or maybe in this last year, you were still doing some like crisis response, right? You were doing some things simply because of the situation we were in globally. And now you are ready for something new next year, like something like meeting with students in person, right? So use a part of your summer and get out the calendars, get out your notepads, your agendas, everything, and kind of look at what do you want the fall to look like, and spend some of your summer planning for that and really planning for success. Okay. And the final thing I want you to do this summer, you might think I'm silly, but please don't, is set aside time to dream. So we've got our rest, productivity, and planning, but we also want you to set aside some time for dreaming. And that does not have to be some silly thing that I'm thinking. It means getting quiet, being in a place where you actually have the mental space to breathe and think. And I want you to start dreaming of what do you want next year to look like and feel like for you. This is where you maybe start to envision, what would your schedule look like if it allowed room for the things that are important to you? And I want you to really take this part seriously, where you imagine what it would feel like, what life would be like if you got to have some of those things that you've been dreaming of for a while. Because if you get that really clear vision of where you want to go, then you might make some decisions that help get you closer to that. You might see some opportunities that come along that you never expected that will help you get closer to that life that you're dreaming of. But if you don't know that's what you want, then you might not recognize the opportunities when they're staring you in the face, when they're right in front of you. So spend some time to just dream. Just imagine, what would you like your life to be like in the next 6 months, in the next year? That is going to feed into the planning that you do, the productivity that you participate in this summer, and all of these things are going to go together. And then, of course, if you mix in some rest, you actually have the time and like the mental bandwidth to actually do these things. So think about this summer as a summer of intention. Think about what is the most important thing out of all of these, right? So start with that. It's probably rest, you guys. If you're like anybody else I know, rest is going to be your first priority. But once you get that priority kind of taken care of and you've refilled the tank a little bit, think about how can you be productive for the year coming up? How can you be planning for what you want the fall and beyond to look like? And then make sure you weave in that dreaming throughout your summer so that you always know this is the direction that you're headed in for your happiness and your success. We would love to hear what you are planning for your summer of intention.